I have known Butch Stone for quite a few years now, and I think the big pivotal point in our relationship was probably August 27, 2011. He was living across the street from Kitty Hawk Water Sports. There was a hurricane bearing down on us, Hurricane Irene, and I went down right before sunset to check on the business to see how everything was doing before I went back home and go to bed, whatever. And when I pulled up to the business, it was underwater. The sound had inundated the entire property all the way up to the highway. And the first person I saw was Butch, and the first things he said out of his mouth were, "John, I'm so sorry. What can I do to help?" Me identifying the magnitude of the situation pretty quickly, I took him up on the offer, and he helped me secure things in the dark with his son, who I just met. And you know that it says a lot to just be to walk in to waist deep water, not sure what you're stepping on or stepping in, and helping out somebody, a fellow boater in need. Frankly, all my jet skis were all over the place. So that's kind of where we definitely created a bond that night, I think. And Butch is such a great guy, and he's a good storyteller. He says plenty of stories. This conversation went all over the map, quite frankly, went back and forth. So I tried to edit it as best I could and tried to group it into three areas. One, the hurricane. Two, what it's like to live on a 40-foot sailboat in Manio and be able to migrate north and south to Florida during the wintertime. And three, being the owner of the JetPak, which, if you remember the JetPak on the Outbanks, that was Butch. So you might notice some stops and starts in the conversation. That's because my editing skills or lack thereof. I hope you can find some good, funny stories out of this. We had a great time. We sat down inside of Butch's 40-foot sailboat in the parlor on a cold, overcast day, which is still very cool. I always love hanging out on a boat and not freezing my tail off. That's always a good day. So hope you enjoy the talk and sit back and relax. Do you remember Hurricane Isabel? No, Hurricane Irene. See, I'm confusing myself already.
That's okay.
But do you remember me pulling up and the first thing you said?
The first thing I said, I remember you pulling up, and at that time I owned a cottage court right across from Kitty Hawk Water Sports. And I had some open spaces there, and here you are running back and forth, and I knew you'd be trying to get there early, and you could keep an eye on it and everything. So I did invite you to stay at my place there at an open apartment, so you stayed there.
Right.
And at the time, my son was there, Randy Stone.
Was he staying in the apartments too?
Yeah, he came down for the weekend, I believe, with his son. I'm not sure exactly. I think that's all it was him and his son, I believe. But anyway, so you got to stay there, and you got up early. I didn't quite get up that earlier.
Right.
And you were over there at daybreak, I think, and then I think the water had just about gone.
It was gone. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I will say, I can't remember, but I feel like at some point either I got up before dawn or in the middle of the night, and I walked across the street and I couldn't see the water, and I was like, well, it's dark out. I'll figure it out tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Well, what happened was too, what I remember of it. It's been a little while, and
Yeah.
most of the time I can't remember what happened yesterday. But anyway, what I remember of it, it was during the night. You were like, "Do you have any lines, any ropes?" And I'm like, at that time I had a older sailboat there, and it was mine. And I'm like, yeah. So I had an anchor rope and all kinds of stuff. I just started throwing it off the boat.
Yeah.
And it was dark when we went over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Crazy.
just remember that.
We might have had flashlights.
Yep, we had flashlights, and my son and I went. And here we are wading through the swamp or whatever.
And by the way, I had just met Randy like 5 minutes prior to that.
Yeah, the sewage water or whatever it was. I don't know.
I remember
that.
It was like either we're going to get electrocuted or we're going to get poisoned by sewage water.
Yeah, or a snake or whatever.
Or bit by a snake.
Yeah, really. So we would, let me say, I think I was following you and Randy was following me.
Right.
And we would just, and you were like, now go this way, go that way, because you couldn't see anything. We don't know if we were stepping in a hole or in a septic tank or whatever, you know.
Right.
So,
Do you remember? The water was almost to the highway. It was 10 feet from the highway. And I think some of the jet skis were out there, so we were just tying them to any signpost and anything we could find. Because I didn't know what to expect next. I really didn't. And I was thinking, what if the water keeps going up?
Yeah.
I mean, these could be in the middle of the highway. The jet skis could be in the middle of the highway.
Yeah.
And I could see them just kind of scraping across as they're getting pushed across the highway with the waves and stuff.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I think that was the high water mark, was right where they were, right when we got there, or right when we started tying everything up, about 10 feet from the highway.
And of course, that's when you come over and say, come on. And yeah, okay, we'll do it. Yeah, when it's the worst time, right? Okay.
Well, you were very...
pitch dark. I did have a flashlight.
I remember you being very generous, but here's what I remember is, first off, I thought I'd prepped well for the storm. I was back home in Southern Shores, just kind of hanging out, and I think I was in my yard doing yard work because it was, it was just windy out,
Exactly.
And I kept, every now and then I would check on the Weather Channel, see what was going on. And I remember it was blowing north or northeast at 50 miles an hour. 50 miles an hour northeast. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, we're good. And then all of a sudden, I think it clocked around and maybe the wind gauge broke. And I'm like, wind gauge broke, and the sun was starting to go down. I was like, well, let me go check on things before the sun goes down. And I brought my daughter with me. She was probably like 14 or something like that. And as we're coming down the bypass, down the highway, I see the water is unusually close to the bypass. Like, what's that pirate restaurant? Anyway.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
That Mike owns.
Yeah.
Mike
Kelly's restaurant.
Mike Kelly's restaurant, and I can't remember the name of it.
Well,
now.
it'll come
right
back.
There, yeah.
So that's like the first parking lot you see when you're coming south. And I was like, why is there water all the way up in that parking lot? Yeah. And then you get to the Dairy Queen, and I'm like, oh crap! And then I start to see all these boats in that what is now the Soundside Event Center. I mean, boats that are like way up.
Yeah, pontoon boats.
Pontoon boats.
There. Yeah,
floating.
Just floating.
Yeah. I think this is not good. The dog is walking on the skylight right above our heads, which is funny. We're in a catamaran, 31-foot catamaran?
No,
40-foot catamaran. Yeah, we don't do anything too small around here. Come on.
There you go. Well, it's my home, so anyway.
It's a good boat. Let me turn off my phone for a second here.
Oh, there you go.
888 number. Spam.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm driving down the bypass, and I see water in what is now the Soundside Event Center, and I realize this is not good. And by the time I pull up to the front of my business, I can't even pull into the driveway because the driveway is underwater, and the sound is 10 feet from the bypass. 10 feet, and my jet skis are floating right next. My daughter freaks out. She's ready to cry. And I'm ready to cuss because I'm thinking, what do I do now?
All of your equipment was just floating all over the place.
Where's this in the manual?
Didn't you have something on a trailer too? It was floating the trailer.
There was yes. And actually that was Captain Andy's parasail boat. He had parked it in our parking lot, and that thing was bobbing up and down like a buoy. I mean, that's a 30-foot boat, and that thing was just bobbing up and down. And I tell you, I was a little nervous for that because it looked like it could just keel over at any point in time. Like it just had this weird buoyancy on it,
Well, it had the trailer hooked to it.
So the trailer was floating as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, like you said before, this is all going down right as the sun's setting, and I'm just like, crap, So now we're dealing with this stuff in the dark. Yeah. But let's back up for just a second. So I never witnessed it, but I think you witnessed all the sound pushed out of the water. I mean, geez, I think you witnessed all the water pushed out of the sound.
Well, it happened so fast. I was probably in the house, and I go outside, and there it was. It was like it just hit.
Okay, so you didn't see when the water was all pushed out.
I didn't see it.
Right. So a lot of people said it was just amazing that all the water was out, and then it must have. Boy, I wish there was cameras of that water coming back in because that must have come in so fast.
It had to. It had to. It just, I guess the wind just spun around and just...
I think it did a 180.
Yeah.
It literally did the wind...
Which it does.
Yeah. 50 miles an hour from the northeast to probably 50 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour from the southwest.
Oh, yeah.
And just push right in.
Yeah, right here with the catamaran. We take it out of Shallowback Bay. So this summer I'm going out and I'm looking at this pouring down rain in Nags Head across the sound. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the Doppler weather, and it's showing that there's nothing coming our way or anything else, and everything's in Virginia Beach. Well, I'm watching that, and I'm watching it going further toward Kitty Hawk, and I'm like, it's okay. We'll just go out and see how it works out. I mean, sometimes you can have the best sunsets in the world when it's cloudy.
Right.
So we got out there, and then I watched the rain. It was going toward Kitty Hawk, and then the wind started changing, and it spun around, and I'm like, time to go in. So I started heading in, and then you could see it coming over Manio, the town, and then heading towards Shallabag Bay, Shallabag Marina, which is only a mile or so, and I'm sitting there watching it pour down rain, and I'm trying to get in, keep them from getting wet. But that's how fast stuff happens around here.
Yeah.
And there was nothing on the Doppler weather,
Yeah.
and you look at the Doppler weather then, it shows it. Oh, look, we're gonna get wet, So you can't trust that either. But just anyway.
Yeah. So the next morning after the storm,
there you go.
I'm up at daybreak. Actually, I remember when I woke up in the middle of the night. There was a police car up at I guess that's the wings up the street or something like that, or one of those.
Oh yeah.
And I think he was just kind of keeping an eye, because I was a little worried about looters. I was worried about just people doing stupid stuff. So there was a cop out there a block away.
Well, it was water over Beach Road right there, right near the chicken place right there. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, really?
It was actually water.
Oh,
there
yeah.
too.
Oh, I believe it.
And it was one across my street a little bit too.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man. So get up at the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
And I think by then, I want to say CBS might have already been set up in the driveway. These news people, because I've seen them more than once.
Right.
They show up and they want the money shot. When they have somebody on TV in the background, they want to see devastation. So let's get in front of Kitty Hawk Water Sports with all the jet skis by the road.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the debris. And that's the other thing, is that storm just blew in all this debris from the sound, which ended up in the parking lot and all over everything. I have pictures of it somewhere.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got out there, started surveying things, and I don't know if it was that day or the following day, but at some point, you broke out the Bobcat, and that was a godsend right there.
Yeah.
And you started pushing all the debris out to the road, and it was just piled up. Everybody started pushing all their debris out to the road. I mean, it's just the amount of trash that hurricane produced was just amazing.
Yeah.
But and I had my employees just raking stuff out, and then you would come along and push it up. And
well, actually, I got a little thing too. I grabbed a railroad tie.
That's right.
And hooked it to it. And
you found a random railroad tie just laying around.
Right. Then I started pushing the road with that, and boy, it worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was crazy though that night though. Like you're saying, I was following you, Randy was following me, and we're going over, and it's jet skis just going everywhere. So we're taking the rope that I had, and we took it, and we're switching all over the place. I get it,
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Keep going. That's old man memory coming back.
Yeah. I have to do this while I'm thinking about it. So then we're out there tying these jet skis off to the whatever was solid, just hooking them all together and tying them off.
Fences,
and hope that they would stay there.
Signposts, rails.
And you had jet skis everywhere. I don't know what you had at that time. Probably 10 of them. I don't know.
Easily, yeah. They were all over.
They were everywhere.
The next day, they were wedged in the hedges. One was wedged under the building. And we had guys that we had 4 guys that had to pull it out from underneath the building.
Yeah.
And the next day, snapping turtles are just cruising around. Snakes are cruising around.
Oh yeah, we had all those weeds and all that. Normally up in the shallows and all that just came out.
The pool. So we have a bumperboat pool between the building and the highway. That thing got inundated with sound water. And the next spring, when we cleaned it out, there were still fish and frogs in there because it was so bad. I mean, it just had tons of debris in it.
Wow, and that sets up higher.
That
really
was super high.
Yeah, from where your
and
driveway.
I didn't even dream, never in my life did I dream that pool would be under sound water.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had chargers. I keep the those are electric bumper boats, so I have chargers right on the pool deck.
Oh,
Well, almost all those guys got ruined. That was the other thing about that storm, was like things you never thought they were going to get ruined got ruined, and then a year later you're like, oh yeah, Hurricane Irene. It's like,
wow.
it just killed everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
What a mess. I remember, I guess as a little trade out, you needed some guys to shovel some sand and dirt up
At my house at that time, it was Lillian B.
Lillian B. Yeah, so we sent a bunch of guys up there.
Yeah, that was cool too.
Some.
That was great.
we were just using whatever manpower we could grab.
We were trading off. They were under my house digging. I remember that too.
Is that right?
It was just sand all under the house at Lillian B. It was in Kitty Hawk.
Yep.
Right on the ocean.
Yep.
And I no longer have that. I no longer have the cottage court. And
Right.
all I have is my boat now, and I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So tell me about the boat.
Oh, it's a Sea Wind. It was made in Australia.
And it's a catamaran.
It's a catamaran sailboat. It's 22 feet wide, 40 feet long. Well, it's like 39, such and such, but
Yeah.
I say 40. It's easy.
Right.
And I live on it. It's got 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, and
Nice.
we're sitting in the living room right now.
Nice.
And
Yeah, very nice boat. Love it.
Yeah, and
This
it's got
is-
everything I need. And
This is your semi-retirement plan?
yeah, I mean, if you call it retirement, I'm still working. If you call it working too, I mean, I make money taking people out sailing, and I love it. And I normally take just 6 people because my captain's license.
Yeah.
Unless I have some friends come by, and I'll load the boat up with the heck, and
Yeah.
don't charge them for it. So.
Yeah, it's not for hire.
Right,
It's
exactly.
Just a joyride.
Exactly, and I do that once in a while too, for birthdays or whatever. So, but I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I don't know. I get depressed when I'm not busy, when I'm not going out at nights, because the sunset is always different every night.
Right.
And if not, then I go out during the day.
Tell us about your trips.
Oh, okay. Well, most of the time, this will be 5 years I've owned the boat in March, and normally I go from here to Key Largo, Florida. I have a cousin there, and that's about as far as I've been. But
And it's all enclosed on the ICW, Intercoastal Waterway.
yeah, most of it's on the intercoastal waterway, but I do, since I sail most of the time by myself, and my cat and my dog, I go out, and when I get to Georgia, or sometimes Charleston, South Carolina, or whatever, I'll go out in the ocean, and then stay out for the day, and then zip in a jetty or whatever, go in there, and then anchor out and stay there. So,
Is that usually, when you say a jetty, is there a marina there? Is
Well,
there life
nah.
there? Or is it pretty desolate there?
No, it's pretty desolate, especially in Georgia and stuff. It's just you can find most anywhere to anchor out a good spot that's not in the channel, and you're good, So I save a lot of money that way by not doing the slips and so on. But once in a while, I will go to I will do the ICW up to Georgia, up to near Savannah, and there's a slip right there that I can get, and they actually give you a little car, that just a loaner car.
Wow.
And you can drive into Savannah, and you can use it for like 4 hours or so.
Nice.
And they don't charge anything. You just put gas back in it.
How's Savannah?
Savannah's beautiful.
Yes.
It's just amazing. I don't know. It's just so pretty there.
Is that right?
That's, it's a lot of places that we go, on the East Coast going down, because it's so many beautiful places. I think we were talking about Beaufort, North Carolina, that
Right.
little town there. It's just a really, really neat town.
Right.
And I always normally stop there and all too. But,
Any other favorites you'd like to stay a few nights at?
It's a lot of favorites. I like St. Augustine is great.
Okay.
Right there, you can rent a mooring ball, and most of the time they put me closer to the shore because my draft is only 3'7".
Right.
All right, most sailboats are like 6 foot or 5 foot or whatever.
Does this boat have daggers or anything?
No, well, it's just got like a running centerboard like on each side.
A little swing keel
little
kind
swing
of thing?
keel. Yeah, you go.
Gotcha.
There you go. It's like about 1.5 feet deep or whatever. And that's all it needs because of the weight of the boat and the stability, the wideness of the boat.
Now, this sound, the crotan sound, is very shallow. Do you usually keep those swing keels all the way up all the time?
No, I'm sorry. It's not a swing keel. It's a fixed.
It's a fixed keel.
It's a fixed
Okay.
keel. Yeah.
Okay.
So it just stays down. Out here, I don't have any trouble at all. It's a muddy bottom too. That helps. So it can, if it was to get real low, it would push through it more than likely. But I have seen some cats come into this to Shellback Bay. The channel there is really confusing if you look at it. They've got too many of this and that all over the place, and they get confused and cut in between, and then they'll hit bottom because it's only a couple feet deep.
Right.
And I've seen a few of them have to get pulled out of that. I've even done it a couple times where I started there and then I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? You know, talking to somebody or something. But
Right.
that was, now pretty much the boat knows where to go. So.
And you, so what kind of motors do you have on this thing?
It's two Yanmars. They're only 30 horsepower engines and on each side. So it's very, it'll spin around in a circle. You can put one in reverse and one in forward, and you can take it most anywhere you want to go. And most of the time I just use one engine if I'm on the ICW and I can't sail. And it uses less than a gallon an hour.
Okay.
But it's not real fast, of course. You don't go
you're just putting
maybe
along.
maybe 6 or 7 miles an hour, but still, a gallon's not bad for a boat. An hour. So I'll just use one, or I'll motor sail, put one of the sails up and catch some wind, and if it's not very breezy.
Right.
Yeah. But people always ask me too on the boat. They always. First thing I say, well, I normally go to Key Largo, and I said, I'm planning on going to the Bahamas this year, hopefully. And they always ask me, how long does it take? That's the first thing I hear. How long does it take? And I'm like, well, I'm in no hurry.
Right.
So it takes me probably a month to get to Key Largo because I'm stopping along the way. And there's another one I like too, West Palm Beach.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I can anchor right out front. There's a dinghy floating pier right there. You can go in. I can actually during the day take my catamaran and put it right up next to the floating dock and leave it all day. You just can't leave it during the night, at nighttime.
Okay.
And that's a neat little town too.
Nice.
And I get my electric bike out and ride around the towns, and it makes it really neat. It's a lot of fun. And I got a big basket on the front of my bike now, so hopefully if Captain Cruz, my border collie, doesn't get any bigger, he'll be able to go with me.
Gotcha. So, all right, and not to be annoying, but if you left...
You would never be that way.
Yeah,
Go
right.
ahead.
If you left Manio first thing in the morning,
okay,
and let's say you were headed to... Well, let's put it this way. What's the first place you would probably stop at if you left Manio in the morning and were heading south?
More than likely, I probably would not make it to Beaufort.
Okay.
So a lot of times, rather than me going north around the island and come back into the Alligator River.
Roanoke Island.
Yeah, Roanoke Island, right. That's what most people have to do. With my sailboat, it's 59 feet tall, so it does fit under fixed bridges. So I can go under the bridge right there at Pirates Cove.
Washington Balm Bridge.
Yep, there you go. Correct me. That's good.
No,
you're welcome to.
I'm just working, just helping the listeners out. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be a pest or anything.
Not trying, but he's doing pretty good. No, I'm just kidding. No. So I go that way. I go that way and go across the sound there, and more than likely I'll make it down to almost to what is it?
Newbern?
Newbern, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, across from that, and I'll anchor out there. I mean, it depends on the weather, what it's like, what it's gonna be like that night. I can just anchor out in the sound if I want to, as long as I'm not in the channel, and I'll just keep the lights on.
So you'll do that,
Yeah.
If you don't feel like, hanging out in New Bern for 3 nights, and you're just like, you're
Right.
you're just looking for protected water,
Right.
and you don't even need to come ashore
No.
unless you need something desperately.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
okay, I
And the
get
boat, I have 2 freezers on the boat and a refrigerator, and so I
Lots
keep
of
it
beer.
stocked. Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm not much of a drinker. I'll be honest with you. I do have some beer on here that people have left, and they
Right.
probably didn't hear all summer.
Right.
That's how much I drink.
Right,
Maybe
that's funny.
one a cold one once every month.
So your evening tours on the Take Two, or,
Yeah.
or any kind of tours on the Take Two, you would motor out. So we're currently in Shallowbag Bay Marina.
Right.
This is where you live. This is where you keep the boat.
Yeah.
Great facility, right?
Yeah. During the summer is great.
Yeah,
Too
pool-
cold here right now.
Yeah. Swimming pool, showers,
Yeah.
bathrooms, restaurant right here.
It's
So
wonderful.
Everything you pretty much
Yep.
need.
Striper's restaurant. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and you're right off the main drag. So
I can walk if I want to Daryl's restaurant or McDonald's is right here. And
So we got distracted like 2 old guys usually do,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we
speak
started.
for yourself.
Yeah, we started talking about your sunset trips.
Yeah.
So you motor out of Shallowbag Bay Marina, you go out the channel, and do you wait till you get all the way out there to raise your sails?
Depends on the wind.
Depends on the wind, yeah.
Yeah. Wind coming from the north or the south, I
Good.
can just throw the sails up right there and sail from there right on out.
Nice.
And I try to always sail. I always sail. Period.
Right. They want to sail. People want to sail.
People want to sail, and I start going out, and they're looking at you like, "Are you gonna put the sails up?" And say, "Yeah, of course, I always do."
Right.
That's the best. That's the fun part.
Yep.
Yeah. I took some people out the other day. It was just a couple, and they paid the full price for the 6 people. What I normally do is I take 6 people at the max, but if I go out with 2, it still costs the
Yep.
same.
Yep.
I mean, it just does. It costs me the same. So I took them out, and it's first time they ever went sailing. And
Oh, cool.
she was a photographer, and we had the most beautiful sunset.
Nice.
And she has gotten all kinds of pictures. She has sent me a few of them,
Nice.
all on it. And they were, and wind was blowing like 20 miles an hour, which is perfect for this boat. It loves 20 mile
that
an hour
right?
winds. I had full sails, and we was zipping, and we had a wake behind it. And they were like, "Oh, this is so cool!" And it stays flat. That's the best part about a catamaran. It doesn't go up on the side like a monohull does, like a regular sailboat.
Right.
And you're not trying to hang on for dear life. You're just sitting there relaxing, and it's staying flat. And that's why people like it so much when they come off of it. And when I do sunset sails, I stay out until it's dark. I flip all the lights on. I'm coming in after dark, and I've got LED lights all over the place, so it's very safe. And you get to see the glow of the sun too.
Nice.
And then a lot of times the moon will come up, a full moon, and
Nice.
you get to see that too. So it's
And,
pretty
and,
neat.
and just so everybody knows, the Roanoke Sound, I called it the Croatan Sound earlier. I don't know why I did that.
Well, it's on the other side.
Yeah. But on the Roanoke Sound, you don't have those big ocean swells. So it could be choppy
Yeah.
on a breezy day, but, not these gigantic swells.
My boat doesn't feel, the chop out there normally.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cuts right through it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a few times with 20 mile an hour, depending on which way the wind was blowing. If it was blowing completely from the north or northeast, it can get really choppy out there. You
Yeah.
might get a little spray or something, but
Right.
very seldom.
Anybody ever get sick out on the
I
Sound here?
have never gotten anybody sick here. There was one lady said that she felt a little sick, but she said she took something, she was okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I had some ginger ale and gave her that, and she's like, "Oh, I'm okay now."
Yeah.
But most of the time you don't, because you don't, it's pretty calm.
Yeah. I just want to bring that up in case
Yeah.
people want to give you a call and go for a tour. They
There you
can
go.
go out there with
There you
confidence. And I do get that question. When I was running the business, I used to get that question
Yeah.
periodically.
Yeah. Well, I still go through Kitty Hawk Water Sports, and
Gotcha.
so that's good, and you can book it all year for next year if you
Anytime,
wanted
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And then they have gift certificates, so
Right.
that'd be something. I've
Right.
always thought that wow, that'd be great for somebody that's coming down here, and the mom or the dad wanted to do something that for them.
Yep.
Put them on the sailboat.
What
put
should
the whole family
people-
on it.
What should people bring when they come for a tour?
You can bring anything. You can bring your coolers. You can bring food. You can bring whatever alcohol, beverage, whatever you want to drink. You can even bring your dog. I have my dog here, and honestly, I don't mind dogs on the boat.
Cats? How about cats?
Well, believe it or not, I did have one cat on there.
Is that right?
The other day, but they had this little. It was really neat. It was a backpack that had like a glass thing over it, and the cat was sitting there looking out of it, looking all around. My dog, my border collie, was over there looking at him like, "What the heck is this?" You know, he kept on. Yeah, but anyway.
A cat under glass.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring your own food, drinks, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just have a nice casual
Oh yeah.
evening. How many wedding proposals have you seen out here?
2. I've
Gotcha.
had 2 of them on the boat, and I didn't know about it till they came on, and the guy would come over to me, "Hey, I'm gonna propose tonight." I'm like, "Well, let me know when you do it. I'm gonna drop the sails, make everything calm, and try to get the best pictures in for you."
There you go.
And I've got pictures
You're
of
a
those.
professional, man.
Yeah, sure I am. Sure I am. Yeah.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
so you probably get what are some other common themes, party themes, or reasons why people come out, like
Well,
bridal showers and stuff like that, or
Yeah, I've had a lot of those. I really have.
A lot of bridal
Quite a
showers.
few. I've even I've had a photographer that called me this year, and she says, "Could you come into the town of Manio? We're getting wedding pictures, and I would like to use your boat." I said, "Okay." So we put them, had her, with her dress, her gown, everything on, and tuxedo for him, and he was out on my boat, and I put up full sails and came into the town. I was lucky that night. Wind was coming out the right way,
Yep.
from the east or whatever. So I sailed them in, and they took some great pictures of them on the boat and coming in and so
Nice.
on. And that's really a neat little thing to do too, for people getting pictures made.
do you want to talk about what it's like to live in Manio? I mean, whether it's
Well, I live on my boat in Manio, which is great, and I've got I do have a car here that I can go places, and that's what I love about the Outer Banks. It's so beautiful here that you can, go to the ocean. I take my dog over there and we play, or we go to the Sound, and then I've got an electric bike here that I go all around the town of Manio, and gosh, I can get on an electric bike and go there faster and beat the traffic
Yeah.
than anything
yeah,
else.
it gets busy here, especially in the summertime.
Yeah, then I ride around the town, and it's all kinds of bike trails here in Manio that's really, really nice. Real nice trails, and you
Right.
ride into the town and all that. There's a bike rental place here too.
Right.
Manio Bikes right there. He's a nice guy, and they rent bikes out. You can just grab one of those and
I've
ride
met
around
him.
the town.
Good guy.
Yeah, really great guy. Yeah, he's worked on my bike a few times.
So here's a random question, going back to your commutes from North Carolina to Florida.
Yeah.
And I've heard people doing this is sometimes you just intentionally or unintentionally just kind of fall in with another party, another boat,
Yeah.
and you just kind of, oh, well, let's stop at this. Have you done that? Like just kind of create friends along the way and kind of jibe your schedules a little bit?
Yeah, this one group, it's this one guy named Wiley. I forgot his last name. And he does Sailing Toward the Sun, I believe it's called. And he gets these people that never been to Florida to follow him. And they get
Okay.
in a group, and he charges them, I guess, and
Sure.
so on. And this is what he does.
That's kind of clever.
And he'll take them to the Bahamas if they want to, and you just follow him on out.
That's really
Well, I
clever.
got with them one day. I was just, I had bought an anchor from Wiley,
Okay.
and so I knew who it was, and I just all of a sudden there's a bunch of sailboats, and I just got in line with them. It was kind of funny, and then I was listening to him, on the radio and stuff, and one of them he was like, "Hey, y'all got to speed up. We got to make this bridge down here." So I cranked up the other engine and speeded up, and I started going by these other sailboats. This one guy, he started doing a thing like horse races. He said, I can't do it, but he was doing it. And Take Two is in the lead. And he's coming.
That's
It was pretty funny. But yeah.
It was funny up until he asked you for his cut of the money.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Wait! I was just
Yeah.
I was just falling in.
Now, gradually I passed him and went on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was kind of neat. But stuff like that, and
that's actually a nice little. I mean, I'm sure he's not a billionaire because of it, but that's kind of
that's a great little job
that's
too.
a nice little business idea. It's like,
yeah,
because me, I would be a chicken shit. I would be like, where am I
gotcha.
going? Where do I stop? What do I do? You know, especially if I wanted the ICW, I could fake. I really think I could fake it just reading some books and getting online.
Well, the ICW, you got to watch the currents. You got to watch
Right.
the tides when they're coming in. I mean, snow's cut is one of the worst things you could ever do, right there near Wrightsville Beach. There
Yeah.
you go. There, I mean, the current it runs 3 knots.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. You don't want to go through there with a boat that runs 5 knots. You know? It takes and it
when
it's
if you're
scary.
a boater around here, where we have no lunar tides on the inside, you know, you get into a tidal area, it throws you for a loop.
Oh my gosh, Georgia too. I mean, Georgia had the difference in the tides is like 8 feet. You know,
right?
and sometimes and they have these. They have their piers and all with these floating docks, and the floating docks would be down with a long ramp, and you see them way down. Sometimes you almost look like you slide down it.
Yeah.
And then other times it'd be floating even with the piers, and the currents get so bad in there that you really got to watch the inlets. You know what
direction you're going in, and all of this stuff.
you got to keep an eye on that stuff. And you try to time it right.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work, but
Right, I get it.
So you check your currents and all that when you're going down your tides. Yeah. Anyway, when we first were doing, it's Kitty Hawk Heights got a message that HBO wanted to do the JetPak, and they sent me this guy's name. His name is Glossner, and so I called him back and I said, "Are you really with HBO? You're playing with me, right?" He starts laughing. He says, "No, I really am." And he says, "Could you come to Wilmington and show your JetPak? And we're thinking about using it on a show." And I'm like, "Okay, where you want me to do it?" And at the time too, to go down there and back, you know, he paid me well. I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's like right there near the inlet where it goes to the ocean. There's a Coast Guard station in Wilmington. And he says, if you can come there. I'm like, okay. So we made it there that day. My cousin and I went, Michael Throckmorton, and we went there. And here we come through the street, and they got it blocked off. And he go, "Bring your truck down here. We've got a special parking place." But I said, "I need to put the jet skis in the water. Where can I do that?" So they told me where to go. So my cousin dropped me off with the jet skis. I brought them around, and then he brought the truck back. Anyway, so finally I'm out there with the jet skis, and I'm checking the JetPak out, and they said they'll be there in a little bit. So I said, well, I'll just run it around a little bit. So I was running it around, and I was out there at the inlet, and all of a sudden, like 20 people start walking across the sand. I'm like, oh, that must be them. And I looked, and that was Danny McBride. You could pick him out of all of them. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's Danny. I said, oh, this is neat. So all of them got there, and they were watching me. So I was spinning around in circles, and then I was walking on water with it, like I would do. You know, you can walk on water, and then so I'm like, I got to make this look good. So I come toward the shore, and
the money shot.
Yeah. So I shoot straight up in the air. And I look at Danny, and he's got his camera, and you could see what he was saying is like, wow, you know, and he's taking a picture of me. I said, this is cool. Danny McBride's taking a picture of me. So then I spun it around a few more times. Then I came over the sand, and I dropped it down on the sand. You could land it right onto the beach. And, of course, it was wilding out all the sand with the water flashing, and I jumped down, and Danny McBride comes over. He runs over to me. That is cool as crap, you know.
You can say whatever you want.
Say what that is cool as shit. He says, man, he said, I love this. I can't wait to do this. I said, thank you, Danny. He said, no, and then he says, I'm Danny McBride. I said, I know who you are, man, and shook his hand and everything. And so they were there, and they were discussing how to do it and what to do, and they were just going on and on because all the big wheel executive producers were there, and it was really neat. And then Danny, I said, look, I've got some T-shirts. I said, would you like some? He said, do you have any for my son too? And he's got a small son too, and I had some small ones. I gave it to him, and I gave him some other T-shirts. I gave him a OBX JetPak hat. And then, like I said, he got hurt after that, and but so it was like months later.
Can I break in for a second?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I had about 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Springsteen walked into my business up in Duck.
Really?
And I got to meet him, and it was just so cool. And I should have given him free T-shirts. I should have thrown everything at him.
Oh yeah.
You know,
you just didn't. You were
I
starstruck.
just didn't think. I was totally starstruck. I didn't think. So you were on the ball and you thought of all that stuff.
Well, I thought about it before I got there. Man, I had the T-shirts in the box, everything.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was caught off guard to just have him walk down and decide to take out the jet skis. So good on you.
Yeah. So anyway, when he came back. When we finally did the show, all of a sudden he shows up and there he is wearing an OBX JetPak hat.
Nice.
I said, Danny, I like your hat, man. He says, I've been wearing this thing everywhere. He said, I love it.
We need to get a picture of it.
Yeah. So, I did. We got a picture of him and I and my cousin all together and all, and we got pictures and all of that. And it was just so cool. My son, too, when he did he was a stuntman for Ken Marino. They had his own trailer.
Yeah.
It had a star on it and everything. And I took pictures of my son with a star, and he had his own trailer to go in there and change clothes, leave whatever he wanted in there.
Right.
And they had trailers everywhere. They had portable porta-johns with air conditioning and all that in it. They had a snack bar hooked up with all kinds of. It looked like something a store you would go to, a candy shop.
Right.
Anything, popcorn, this, that, all of that. They had, that morning we were supposed to go out, Charles called me, executive producer, and he's like, I said, we're going to grab some breakfast. He said, no, come right over here. You have breakfast here. They had 3 chefs out there cooking anything you wanted.
Right.
You just...
Amazing.
Yeah. And then lunchtime came up, and they said, well, it's 12 o'clock, but we're going to pay some overtime here for everybody because we're going into it. We want to finish this one little set. And I'm like, okay. So they're paying us overtime because they were late for lunch. That's what the rules do.
I think there's union rules.
Union rules,
yeah.
Yes. We were late for lunch.
So we've had a little experience here working with Beachfront Bargain Hunt. They want to come out, they want to get on jet skis or paddle boards or something, or the parasail boat. We have an episode, our parasail boat is on one of those episodes. And I had no idea that the union was like, they cracked down on that. It's like, we're taking an hour lunch break whether you like it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was unreal too. And then
what time of the year were you doing this thing with the Eastbound and Down?
Well, what happened was he was doing the film. We were supposed to do it in like August. And I think that's what it was. And all of a sudden, Danny, the show before this one that he was supposed to do, he was in a roller skate thing in a rink. And Danny fell backwards and cracked his tailbone.
Damn.
Yeah. And so he was on pain pills and stuff. And he was like, man, I don't know if I can make this or not. And finally he got better, and they made the show, and I think it was like September when we did it, I believe. Okay. I can't remember.
So it wasn't cold?
No, it wasn't cold. No, the water was still
and you weren't pulled away from a ton of potential business from here. You probably got paid more doing that than you would have staying here. So.
Exactly. And they were doing it in August, and I told them, well, this is going to be when I really need, I do a lot of business, I'm going to lose a lot, and
Yeah.
He's like, well, we understand it. HBO has
Right.
endless money. It's just unreal. It's
Exactly.
just really
I mean,
neat.
the budget's not that tight, you know.
Yeah.
And if they want something done now, they get it done now.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool too. And I was teaching Danny McBride how to fly. Okay, fly the JetPak. So we went there a day before, and I taught Danny and Ken Marino, both of them had to fly and stuff. It was pretty neat.
Right.
With me running the controls and the throttle and everything. And so the next day when they'd go to film it, well, it might not have been the next day. I think it was about a month later or whatever. I was flying Danny and I was working the controls, and on the JetPak there's a throttle like a motorcycle, so I can just let go of my end and just let them fly like a motorcycle, and you have control of it. With Danny was out there and he was flying, and the director Joey, I forgot what his name is, but Joey, he goes there and yells at me. He says, let Danny have the throttle. I said, Danny is not ready to have the throttle yet. I said, he hasn't done it before. No, just let him have it. Let him do it himself. I'm like, okay. And so then I have a intercom that goes to the helmets, and I can talk to Danny, and I said, Danny, okay, look, remember when I told you, just do the throttle real easy. They want you to do it, and be real calm. And all of a sudden Joey says, quit telling him what to do, just let him do it. So like, Danny, you're on your own, buddy. And so he goes there and he's working the throttle himself, and he's doing pretty good, and he got it 5 feet off the water or something, and then he got a little sideways, and when he did, he forgot what he's doing, and he hit the throttle and he went straight up into the air. So he's about 30 feet off the water, and I killed the switch because I didn't want him to get hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to go backwards or whatever. So I killed the switch, and he comes straight down. Everybody on the boat, especially the director, they were laughing their heads off. Oh my gosh, my cousin, he was on a jet ski there, so he ran out to Danny real fast. And he's, you okay, Danny? He says, yeah. He says, I've had enough. Let the stuntmen do the rest. Yeah, I told him. Yeah.
Let the professionals take over.
Yeah, but it was all because of the director. The director was his friend too.
Yeah.
He's done This Is the End and Tropic Thunder. And,
Tropic Thunder, yeah.
Remember Danny was in that and all that. And I think he was director on that and everything. He's pretty famous. It was neat, but he was laughing his head off.
So he was just screwing with it.
He was messing with it. Yeah, he was. Ken Marino, that was on there. He was in We're the Millers with Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
Okay, he was her boss on the show and everything,
Okay.
And he's been in a bunch of Jennifer Aniston shows, and he's been in movies. I see him all the time on TV.
Okay.
See Ken Marino all the time, and my son was a stuntman for him, and we did it in Wilmington, North Carolina. They leased a lake.
Okay.
And then they leased an elementary school. All right, so they had shuttle buses, these shuttle vans going back and forth to the elementary school. We had buffet there, everything for lunch, all this stuff. It was just amazing.
So that was where...
Closed set. Completely closed. They have their own guards around. Nobody could come in there. They could do anything they wanted to.
Did you, and I don't know anything about show business, but did you and your son have to become members? What do they call that? The Actors Guild?
Yeah, my son did.
Okay.
Because he was a stuntman.
Right.
I didn't have to because I owned the business. I wasn't being a stuntman.
You were a contractor of some.
My son is a stuntman for HBO now.
Because he was in front of the camera.
And he gets royalties from Eastbound and Down.
Nice.
Not big ones, but
yeah,
he gets royalties. Because he did.
cents.
Yeah, right. He has. Honestly, he's had like $1.50 or something like that.
Sweet.
Look, I got another check from HBO. Look at this. And he still gets it. Right now, whenever they show a show or whatever, and put a show on there. But he doesn't make a lot of it. But Kim Marino we were on a long dock, and Kim was out there, and Kim Randy had just come in, and Ken said, "Do you have a towel, Randy?" He says, "No, I don't." He said, "I'll get you one." And Ken Marino goes all the way down, goes to one of the things, and I'm like, "Isn't this cool?" About that time, this lady comes out with a towel, and here comes Ken right behind her, and Randy grabbed the towel from us, threw it down real fast, and then Ken came over that. "Thank you, Ken. I appreciate this." But really super guy to do something like that.
That's good to hear. It shows he's a regular guy.
Yeah, he's a regular guy, nice. And we just had a great time when I was teaching them how to fly and stuff. It was just a day with Kim Marino and Danny McBride, and
right,
and people would die. A lot of his fans would just die to do something like that. And, and we like that. I'm teaching them how to fly the JetPak.
That's cool.
And it's like, "Hey, Danny, you're looking terrible, man." One time I told him to go right and he went left. I said, "Your other right. And, come on, man," and all this stuff. And it was just so much fun. I'm like, and I got paid for that.
Yeah. How can we make a career out of that?
I know. And they pay awesome. And at the end of the show, he calls me up, the executive producer, Charles. I'm not going to name names, but Charles is all I'll say. And he ended up being a friend of mine, and I still contact him now. It's really neat. And he calls me up, though, and he says, "Butch," he says, "we were figuring we'd have to go another day." And he says, "You were able to get everything in that day." He says, "I'm going to send you a bonus."
Nice.
I'm like,
so he's looking out for you?
"Wow, Charles," I said, "you don't have to." No, it's okay. I said, "Well, look, you're still welcome to come to my cottage court in Nags Head if y'all want to come down sometime." And he took me up on it. Him and his wife and his 3 boys came down, and they took me out we went to Taylor the Whale, and he paid for everything, and just super nice guy.
Regular people.
Yeah, and he works for Netflix now and HBO. He does HBO. He says on the side. That's what he says. But he was in charge of the Outer Banks thing for Netflix.
Oh, the show.
Yeah.
The show Outer Banks.
Cool. So he was in charge of that, and then he was doing Veep with Julia Dreyfus.
Right.
And he called me up one day and he says, "Hey, Butch, we're in Maryland doing Veep." And he says, "Would you like to come up here?" And I was doing my JetPak or whatever, and it was during the summer, and I'm like, "Nah, that would be." He said, "You meet Julia and everything." He said, "You have to wear a suit though, and not shorts." I said, "Oh well, forget it. I'm out." Right.
My suit's at the cleaners.
Exactly. But I thought that was. Then Charles called me. He says, "Hey, you need to move your truck. We're gonna film some right in front of the elementary school." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I had to move my truck to get it out the way. They didn't want it in the picture. And so it was for like the last episode, I think. So I happened to look, and there's Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to my son and my cousin. I'm like, "That's Lindsay Lohan, isn't it?" And they're like, "No, it can't be." And then both of them like, "Yeah, it is." So there's Lindsay Lohan. So the last show was Danny McBride being in a rehab.
Yeah. And
his lost daughter he didn't know he had was Lindsay Lohan. She's the one that got him out of the rehab. Isn't that funny? I mean,
very ironic.
Yeah. So Lindsay Lohan gets him out. So they open the doors up and they do all that, and it's just a little short scene with Lindsay Lohan.
So they used the entrance of the elementary school to look like it was the rehab center.
The rehab center. They had a sign out there, rehab. They had it all set up.
That's funny.
So right at the very end, they're doing that, and also too, I forgot to tell you this. Charles, when we were getting ready to fly the JetPak, he comes out on the pier with this girl, and I'm like, "She looks familiar." And I'm like, "Oh." So it was Danny's wife, which is Katie Minson. She also was on Mike and Molly. That show comes on all the time, reruns and all that. She was a sister.
Not familiar with that.
Okay. She was a sister on that.
Okay.
and she was a little chubby on that. With this, she wasn't chubby now. You know,
Gotcha.
they must have made her look that way on the show. But she was just beautiful. She comes over and, "Hi, I'm Katie." I said, "Hi," and she gives me a big hug. So she's sitting there, give me a big hug. Here's Katie Minson, you know, on all these shows all the time, and you see her all the time too. Like,
Yeah.
and they're yelling, "Hey, Butch, we need the JetPak." I said, "Y'all go away, leave me alone." Katie's giving me a hug. Go away.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
that's
thought that
awesome.
was cool too.
Very cool.
Yeah. So,
All right.
hey, I've had a pretty good life. And you know, now I'm blessed enough to have a sailboat and sailing back and forth to Key Largo and
Yeah. You live in some cool places. You get to meet some nice people.
yeah,
Could be a lot worse.
it's so awesome. So awesome. I can think of another thing you might want to splice it in.
Not a problem.
Okay, the Harbor Fest, when we did Harbor Fest too.
Downtown Norfolk.
Downtown Norfolk, yep, and Waterside.
Yep.
And they were like, they have a parade of sail. And the first Harbor Fest we did, the first year, they had...
What year ballpark?
I think it was 2012.
Okay.
Okay. And I think it was 2012 and 13 we did. The first year, though, they had the USS Cole in it, where they had just repaired.
Right.
That had blown up.
Terrorists had blown a hole in the side of the Cole. That was over in the Middle East somewhere.
Exactly.
So they got it back to the States and repaired it.
Exactly. The USS Cole was the lead of the parade going into Waterside, and they took you know, tugboats and spun it around and all that. But we got to fly the JetPak right behind it.
Nice.
They let us do it. And of course, you got all of these Coast Guard with machine guns on the Zodiacs on the bow of it and all that.
Yeah, big boats with big propellers too, so I wouldn't want to fall down.
Yeah, and these guys with helmets and machine guns, and all of a sudden the machine gun guy tells Randy, he said, "Come over here," and Randy's like, "Okay." So
this is a prank.
So he's flying over to the guy with the machine gun, and he gets out his phone. And he's taking a video.
Anyway, very cool. So you were cruising along with the USS Cole.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really neat. I don't know, and what we did there was have my pontoon boat, and I'd pull it out front of Waterside, and I'd anchor it.
Right.
And then they gave me a wireless mic, and then I'd get up on top of the pontoon boat, and I would tell what we did on the Outer Banks and how we, you know, did the JetPak, and then I'd give away T-shirts, and Randy would go in with the JetPak and fly next to the people, and then throw them a T-shirt.
That's better than the T-shirt bazooka.
And then we had the other channel there. I forgot what channel that is. They were doing a weather report, real fast one at 12 o'clock, I think it was, where they do wherever they are. So they were doing it at Waterside. And they said, what they want you to do is fly up and fly in the air right when he comes on. So I yelled at Randy. I said, come on, hurry up. And he comes flying down there, and it timed it just right when he came on the air. He says, "We're in Waterside, and we're right here with the JetPak, water-powered JetPak." And Randy flew straight up in the air right then. Yeah. Of course, he got him a little wet, but it was just perfect timing. And,
nice.
And we did that, and it was all. And they had Wavy TV, the helicopter and everything flying over us when we were flying.
Nice.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with the JetPak.
Right.
I really did. I had something that, you know, you dream about. And I always loved going to Waterside, going to Harbor Fest from Richmond. I would go there all the time because of all the bands playing and everything. Right. And I loved Waterside and Harbor Fest.
Did you grow up in Richmond?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would never in a million years think that we would be in Harbor Fest flying a JetPak.
Right.
I mean, what the heck is this, you know? So if anybody out there wants a JetPak and a flyboard, I can sell it to them. So
you still have it?
I still have it. Yeah, I haven't sold it.
It's in storage here somewhere.
I've got it in storage. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, still got my JetPak truck. I use it for my storage room. for all my stuff that I used to have.
The name of the podcast is Treasures of the Outer Banks, and Butch, you're definitely one of the treasures of the Outer Banks. I appreciate you being out there at the night of Hurricane Irene and giving me a hand. You're definitely a true friend. I appreciate it, and this was a lot of fun. I thank you for sitting down with me and getting this on recording.
Oh, I really enjoyed it, really do. And thank you, John. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening to the show, and I hope you enjoyed these stories. I think the Outer Banks is a special place, and sharing it with other people who love the Outer Banks is a real privilege for me. If you have a specific topic you'd like to hear or a specific person, please leave a note in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Remember, if you want to find treasure on the Outer Banks, just talk to a local.